Oh, my live? Oh, sorry. Traffic here. Yeah, it's the sunlight that hits people, right? Time change. So, anyways, I just want to shoot a video about grounding. And I learned, I guess, with you that I've never been able to do before, like have kids, and I'm raising two children, not my own, that a woman I'm engaged to, but I can't handle stimulus really well with the things I got going on in my life, and I sort of, some days are really, really bad, some days are really okay, some days are, even good. I have good moments, so, but I've realized that I have a lot more good moments now than I did previously when I didn't have as much to do. And I do better like when I'm forced to do stuff. And I mean, I still need to take breaks. I still have my own pizza that make life hard. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's rewarding. I mean, if it balances out to be a positive, and it gives me something to look forward to in a way that I didn't think was possible. At the same time, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. But being grounded, like sort of forcing you, even though like your mind wants to constantly think, and if you've been an audience member of mine for a while, you might understand that, right? So like the detachment from the world and grounding is so important. I realized my whole life. I mean, that's the problem, right? It's the main problem for me. Is I'm constantly in a state of I'm in a constant state of thinking about my symptoms. I mean, most people deal with this in a lot of different ways, and they're stuck in their head, and that doesn't matter. Like it could be a divorce or a job or an upcoming prom or being bullied, whatever it is. Everybody's going through something for sure, and whatever they're going through, they internalize, and it's all of us, at least most of us. I started internalizing the symptoms of anxiety, and people are like, well, what causes you to be anxious? And I'm like, my anxiety. Or the fear of that, right? Like, I guess that's where PTSD maybe, or whatever you want to call it. But even when I feel like, oh, you know what, I feel like clear right now, I feel kind of normal, and I instantly think, well, why? What did I do? What did I do different? And then like if I have a decent day or a decent night, and I'm like, oh, I felt last night was great, and then the next day I'm just completely detached. I'm like, well, what did I do? What did I do wrong? And then it's this constant loop of overthinking that I'm sort of breaking myself out of. And when you are grounded and have something as impossible as I thought it would seem for me, medication has given me a little bit of latitude to be able to handle things, and then being forced in those situations, which in the past I've realized when you're forced into, like, you gotta go to help someone, you gotta do it right now. I thrive in those situations, those stressful situations, passive, slow situations, I'm tired, and all that. So it's an interesting kind of it's an interesting type of person and personality, I guess. And there's a lot of unfortunate parts. I'm burned out a lot, but that I already was, but it's the overthinking about the burnout. It's overthinking about how I feel that leads to it. And I do that less because I'm not able to. You know, like, you got kids and they're saying, hey, do this, help me here, help me there, homework. And you, like, at first, like, it was impossible. It was impossible. Like, I couldn't even think enough to even count. I'm like, wow. And now, a couple years later, I'm just doing things I didn't think I'd be able to do. Cognitively, some days again, I regress, and then I get scared, and then my fear causes more regression, and then I kind of catch myself and I think back to this. So that modality of fear with fear is just fighting fire with fire, and that's never going to work. Fires don't put fires out. So like this analogy, I guess, is more or less you got to let the fire run its course, or take some medication if you do that. Maybe that's some sort of water that can help get the fire out quicker, whatever. But either way, you can't fight fire with fire, and I did that for a decade probably, and that was my problem. The book It Lasts a Life really helped me see that. I can't, and me an overthinker, I can't just overthink, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel this way? I don't want to feel this way. So having those comorbid conditions, ADHD and hyperactive plus OCD, PTSD, combined with anxiety, and then when I had my DP, that just sort of all, I mean, it's terrible. So I do better when I'm kind of just stuck in the fray, or the even though I still might feel fog, like it's sort of like I don't think about the fog. When you're playing with the kids or something, and you might still feel foggy, but you don't think about it that much, and then you're able to sort of override that and maybe enjoy yourself a little bit. And then furthermore, when you start to enjoy yourself, some of that fire starts to go out, and you might actually start to feel a little bit better. And if you feel a little bit better, it's just sort of like a domino effect. So this is just like a catch-up or a reminder that we get stuck in our heads, and that's a bad place to be. And if you don't got a lot going on, then that can exacerbate the situation. So a lot of people who get depressed or anxious, that's sort of the complexity of it, if you will, is that they don't have the weaponry, the armament to be able to. Sorry, I'm getting over. You gotta look back or look forward and say, like, I know, okay, well, I can't fear this fear. I can't. It will go away. I will be okay. I'm stressed out. I'm not going to stress about my stress, right? I can't stress about that. So when it's hard. It's really hard. It's like you've got a sword sticking out of your neck, and someone tells you, well, don't think about the sword and the pain will go away, or something, right? It's kind of like, it's impossible. I get it. But that's sort of, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. You got to kind of just, fake it till you make it, per se. But if you're uncomfortable with feelings, you can't stress about those feelings. So that's my main message here. And someone just joined. And basically, this message has been that I overthink my symptoms, which exacerbates my symptoms, which are anxiety, depression, fog, that type of stuff. So finding something to do, or which is the opposite of what depression and anxiety is going to do, it's going to force you into that shell, and in that shell is where it's a feeding ground. Idle mind is the devil's workshop for sure. Then you can get stuck in those thoughts thoughts of why do I feel this way, and scared of that. So whatever it is that can help push you out of that, and you can watch some of my videos, and I explained in this video kind of what's helped me doing things I never thought I could do, plus learning some coping mechanisms, including and then medication being a bridge. I'm not okay a lot of the times, but I'm doing a lot better. Can and will get better. But then after the fact, you do have that sort of, like where I'm at, just this constant fear of it getting worse or coming back. And I still have a lot of limitations, unfortunately. Just like a war victim or something like that, suffering with that debilitating symptomology or whatever. For someone like me, it's hard to let go because it's so scary what you go through with and stuff, and panic disorder. It's so scary, and hard to come back from that when you've lived that for many, many years, because you're sort of always wondering, where's it coming? But the farther I got along the way, where it was like, wow, a year's gone by, 2 years since I had a panic attack. A couple months ago, I nearly had one, and that sent me spiraling, just because I had the fear, like, well, what if I'm stuck in this state again for this long? And luckily, I was able to get out of it again using the mechanisms described in my videos, described in That Lasts a Life. But don't fight fire with fire. Don't fear your fear. Don't stress about your stress. Just know it's going to go away. Know you're going to get better. And you're going through a regression. That's okay. We all do it. And we all call a friend. Do whatever you have to do to just push yourself, because eventually that will help. Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, subscribe, whatever, if you haven't, and I appreciate you watching the video. If you have any questions, hit me up, leave a comment. I would appreciate that.